So, we're continuing with more Scooby-Doo content with 2014's Scooby-Doo Frankencreepy. So, I actually really love Frankencreepy. I think it's one of Scooby's best films. Uh, okay, so I do have like one problem and one nitpick with Frankencreepy. We're gonna get those out of the way. So the first nitpick is that I feel like Scooby, Shaggy, Daphne, and Fred were like, or I think they should have waited a bit longer for like the gang to forgive Velma, because I feel like after she says she's hypnotized, it's all immediately like any that could happen to anyone, you know. Maybe this was like I don't know, could be like the timing was rushed. Who knows? But like that kind of felt a bit weird when watching it. And the one thing that's keeping this from a 10 out of 10, the one thing that's keeping this from a 10 out of 10 is that I honestly thought like that the monster, the Frankenstein monster was real, but it was just a hoax. Of course they'd make it a hoax. I just like I like for some of these movies I honestly thought, like when I was watching these films as like a kid, I honestly thought that the monsters were real in like Legend of the Vampire, Where's My Mummy, or something else. But I just don't know. It just seems like Warner Brothers just wants to stick to the status quo and not take risks. I feel like that's something that just animated things. Like I've noticed how a lot of animated shows or different pieces of media just nowadays they don't want to shake it up. They don't want to add something new or change the characters. We haven't had a Scooby-Doo movie that had real monsters or supernatural elements since 2009 Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword. So we've gone like almost 15 years without a Scooby-Doo film with real monsters or anything. Maybe Warner Brothers thinks people don't like having real monsters in Scooby-Doo. But look at the DC crossovers. We have like Giganta, Clayface, some of these real villains that could do all sorts of things that no ordinary human can do. I don't know, but at least it was hand. But at least I was able. It made me think that like, wow, the monster's actually real. I just wish this could have taken us back to the good old days of like Zombie Island, witches, ghosts, alien invaders. You know, like when they actually decided, hey, why don't we like add real monsters and really just like make things bigger and darker. But that's like that. That's all I have. That's the only negative thing I have to say about Frankencreepy. But at least it's not all negative for that. Let's talk about the positives. There's just so much positives. Okay. The editing is just so insane. I love these little flashes, like these apparent cuts. This feels like Scooby-Doo meets Edgar Wright. Man, imagine Edgar Wright directing a Scooby-Doo film. I think that'd be so insane, given in how he was able to bring Scott Pilgrim to life. The way this kind of shakes up the characters, how we see Fred suffer from PTSD with the Mystery Machine. Daphne's kind of like insecure, and how Shaggy and Scooby are brave and not hungry. I really love how they portrayed these with the gang. And Velma, man, Velma's just one of the absolute highlights of this. Uh, like she just goes full villain. Like when she had like a chainsaw and axe and was wanting to switch Scooby and Shaggy's brains, I was just like, I was doing my PogChamp face. No, wait, it's not like, but like I was just so shocked that they were able to let the characters do all this. The lighting and animation is just top notch. This this like gives me Mystery Incorporated vibes when it comes to like the shading and lighting on like different sides of the faces. And the overall color palette. It just screams Mystery Incorporated. It was also kind of wild to see old footage from like Where Are You or the Scooby-Doo show or the new Scooby-Doo movies. I don't know which certain ones, but I do know they used some from the Scooby-Doo show. But it was just like kind of wild to see them acknowledge events. Like sometimes it's kind of rare to see continuity within Scooby-Doo. Like I feel like the only times we get this are like say is like 13 Ghosts, Mystery Incorporated, Loch Ness Monster connecting to Chill Out. Yeah, like this is just kind of crazy to see. Like it's not often you get to see stuff like continuity within Scooby-Doo, since like a lot of the time it's the status quo. Voice acting was top notch. Vinnie Cohen, Frank Welker, Grey Delisle, Matthew Lillard, Jeff Bennett, D. Bradley Baker. Bangers as usual. I just don't know what else to say about Frankencreepy. Oh, also, Transylvania Polka was a jam, and I was happy that they brought it back in an episode of Be Cool Scooby-Doo. But we also got I saw a little hint of Daphne's weird persona from Be Cool Scooby-Doo. It was when she was kind of cheerleading. Could that have been foreshadowing the episode where she cheerleads with a mascot? Coincidence? I think not. But yeah, despite like that little tangent I had, I just really love Frankencreepy. It's just I don't have the words for it. It's just a great film. Oh, also another thing I forgot to mention, it was so cool to see Fred like heal from his Mystery Machine trauma and was able to kick ass. Like that's just so cool to see Fred do that. Kind of like how he was able to jump onto that plane in Mystery Incorporated during the Clown Baby arc. But yeah, Frankencreepy is just such an insane highlight of the Scooby-Doo films. Zoinks.